Good evening. Oh, croaky voice still. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday. It's just gone 10 o'clock, 5 past 10 at the moment. Good to see so many of you in the chat already. A little project I've been working on all week through a series of an initial video, a tier ranking I did last weekend, through to some votes that I've put out on the community page, which so many of you have taken part in. Thank you very much for that. It's video nasties and an era that I grew up in. You know, I guess when the DPP list, and I'll explain more about that, came out, I was 10 years old. And so I was kind of obsessed with what all these movies were that we weren't allowed to see. Tony Four Eye says Darren is early. I'm kind of 5 or 6 minutes late, but you know, we're getting there. So it was a huge time in the UK, a time of what the media called moral panic, and all really, bar a few films, over nothing really. When you boil the Nasties down, for me, the story of the Nasties is more interesting than a lot of the films that had the finger pointed at them. There were 72 that were on the original Nasties list, which was brought out in June of 1983. And then the Department of Public Prosecutions decided to prosecute each of those movies. And they didn't manage to prosecute all of them. Some of them they did. I think 39 of them they did. 33 of them went onto another list, which meant they were liable to be prosecuted. But we'll talk about that in a minute. I just want to say hello to a few people in the chat first. Alan's there. He says, have a great stream tonight, Darren. Have a poorly mother to look after. I'm sorry about that, Alan. So we'll watch and catch up tomorrow. Enjoy it all, everyone in the chat, and Happy New Year to you all. Yeah, Happy New Year. I can't remember if I've done a stream in this year. I can't remember now. I've done a recorded episode, but did I do a stream after New Year? Maybe I did. I can't remember. Tony's off. He's off already. Most were shite. The nasty. Most were shite. I'll give you that. Most of them were. I mean, there's a good 10 or so at least that I think are great movies. But, you know, when you get to the fact when they split them up into 3 sections and you ended up with 100 and I think it's like 140, 150 or something like that, then it was getting ridiculous. And you know, movies like The Thing started getting dragged into the argument. Which is just stupid. A big Hollywood movie like that should never have been tarnished with the Nasties brush. But you know, as I said, it's an interesting story and something that there's been various books about, documentaries, all sorts of things, and it's amazing that we got through it when you had politicians with opinions like this.
Research is taking place, and it will show that these films not only affect young people, but I believe they affect adults as well.
What an idiot. Graham Bright. What an idiot. So before we start, actually, I'll just say hello to a few people in the chat. Chester's here, Duke's here, Deshawn's here, Brandon's here. Hey, Brandon, Zara's here, Andrew's here. Who else have we got? Alan's here, like I said. Katie Boyd. Hey, Katie. Daz is here. Wraith's here. Johnny Rocker's here. Good to see you, Johnny. Hope you and Steph are well. Liana's here. Hey, Liana. Who else have we got? Logan's here. Wordy Word. Dino Rabbit. Rando 1975 says, I've seen all the section 1 and 2 nasties, but only about half of the section 3 list. That's an accomplishment. I can't hold I think I've seen the bulk of the original DPP 72. I would say I've seen maybe 60 of them or something like that. There are some on there that I've just got no inclination to watch. And as I said, I find the story behind it all much more interesting than the bulk of the movies. But yeah, I mean, we'll figure out today which movies are your favorites. And thank you for all those of you again that voted, because it really did help me get a good 21 movies out of the 72 that were on the original list. So Zara says, "Oh, look at that lush new physical media in the background." Yeah, I just thought I'd showcase a few of the Nasties here. There's Tenebrae, one of my favorites. The new Possession box set, which is the new Second Sight one, which is absolutely brilliant. And one of my favorite releases of last year, which was I think it's the 6-disc set for the Beyond, which is just incredible. Okay, so what we normally do is we normally get everybody into the mindset of the era that, you know, we're talking about, and I'm going to give you some sort of cultural facts from, let's see now, 1980 to 85, which was the period when all these kind of VHSs first surfaced and were eventually taken off the shelves. So in 1981, the UK officially crowned its first ever music video superstar. MTV didn't even launch in the US until August 81, but by then Duran Duran were already using cinematic videos to dominate Top of the Pops. Ghostwatch didn't even exist yet. Do you remember Ghostwatch, the Michael Parkinson thing? But Britain was already terrified by TV. Shows like Armchair Theatre in 1978 to 1980 and Hammer House of Horror, which I'm a huge fan of, laid the groundwork for Britain's obsession with, could this be real horror TV? 1982, the ZX Spectrum put game development in British bedrooms. Kids across the UK were coding and selling games via mail order, essentially creating the UK indie game scene before the term existed. And then video recorders were still suspicious luxury items in 1982. Many home rental agreements explicitly banned tenants from owning a VCR due to fears of piracy, video nasties, and fire risk. Blue Peter badges. I mean, all these are Brit facts here, folks. So any of you that are in the US will probably be like going, what is he talking about with half of this stuff? But Blue Peter badges became black market currency between 1980 and 1983. Kids were trading badges in playgrounds like Contraband, and some cinemas accepted them for free entry as well. That's pretty cool. Doctor Who hit its darkest era under producer John Nathan Turner. From 1980 onwards, Doctor Who leaned into body horror violence and bleak sci-fi, causing moral panic before the video nasties even peaked. And in 1984, Britain genuinely feared video games would rot children's brains. Tabloids blamed games like Manic Miner and Jet Set Willy for addiction and delinquency. And then the UK pop charts briefly allowed novelty chaos to reign in 1981. Joe Dolce's Shut Up or Your Face beat Ultravox's Vienna to the Christmas #1, a cultural trauma many Brits still haven't recovered from. God, I remember that song. Thatcher era Britain created a golden age of gritty TV drama. Shows like Boys from the Black Stuff in 1982 reflected unemployment and despair, shockingly bleak for primetime BBC. And then in 1984, the miners' strike shaped British pop culture permanently. Music, TV, comedy, and even horror from the mid-80s carried the weight of it, influencing everything from Red Wedge to kitchen sink realism. And those are your 10 pop cultural little nuggets of information there that I've dragged up to kind of get you all into the mindset. The miners' strike, what a depressing thing. Okay, let's see what you're saying in there. What about Jim will fix it, says. Yeah, he was around too. Ties in with Bone Temple? Yeah, it kind of does, you're right. Brandon Collins says, same thing happened here in the US at the time. While the satanic panic ordeal that happened with music and books was a scary time, I grew up in a very religious place. Frightening. Yeah, I love all the satanic panic story as well. I've watched documentaries on that before. There's some fascinating moments during that period. Okay, so let me just explain a little bit more about how this all came about. So in 1983, in June of 1983, the DPP drew up a list of 72 movies that they deemed to be obscene. And so what they wanted to do was they wanted to prosecute these films and ultimately get them off the shelves. So what did that mean to be prosecuted? In the Video Nasties era, being prosecuted meant the film was just banned in theory. It was taken to court. In simple terms, a successful prosecution meant the authorities believed a film was legally obscene, not just distasteful. So the legal process, in plain English, is basically police seized the VHS tapes, raids on video shops, distributors, even private homes were raided as well. Tapes were physically confiscated. The DPP approved a court case. The Director of Public Prosecutions reviewed the film, and if they believed it breached the Obscene Publications Act of 1959, it went to trial. The distributor was charged. Charges usually against the company or shop owner, not the filmmakers, although Sam Raimi did kind of get involved in defending The Evil Dead at one point. And the offense was essentially supplying obscene material. The film was judged in court. Magistrates watched the tape, not film experts or anything, just magistrates, and they decided whether it had a tendency to deprave or corrupt. If the case succeeded, the film was prosecuted, and if there was a guilty verdict, the tapes were destroyed as well. So films were effectively banned nationwide, 39 of them in total. Movies like I Spit on Your Grave, Last House on the Left, Cannibal Apocalypse, Cannibal Holocaust, The Burning even. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So if a title was successfully prosecuted, it could not be legally sold or distributed in the UK. It could not be submitted to the BBFC for a rating. That's our ratings board in the UK. All known copies were seized and destroyed, and distributors face fines, criminal records, and even prison sentences. And as I said, it's like that's why movies like Driller Killer and such, I Spit on Your Grave, were just banished completely. We lost them all. Although you could talk to certain people who in video stores who kept them under the counter and things like that. But and these things became, I guess, more desirable. They became infamous. They became it whipped up such a friendly that more people wanted to see them, to see what all the fuss was about. And when you see these films nowadays, and a lot of you know this in the chat, most of them are garbage. They're absolutely awful. Anyway, let's see what Daz is saying here. An obvious reason behind the act was attacking small businesses. If major companies were the ones with a monopoly over VHS releases, I doubt it would have gotten so extreme. Yeah. Zara says, I've just picked up a copy of Driller Killer. Good luck with that. That's one of the worst ones. That's terrible. And Eli says, don't forget to slash that like button and sub to this awesome channel. Yeah, that'd be great. If you could do that, then I'd really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you very much, Eli. Okay, let's move over to this screen here. And our first film that we're going to vote on is A Bay of Blood, Mario Bava's A Bay of Blood. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the link in the chat again. There we go. And we'll start the vote now. So you have 90 seconds to vote on A Bay of Blood. So A Bay of Blood was actually successfully prosecuted. What else can I tell you about this? Directed by Mario Bava, music by Carlo Ruccielli, starring Claudio Auger, Luigi Pistilli, Claudio Volonte, and Laura Betti. A seemingly idyllic Italian villa becomes a bloodbath as heirs, lovers, and opportunists twist betrayal into murder, all sparked by the quest for a lakefront inheritance. Bava's witty, highly gory script links almost every character in a cycle of shocking kills. So with this one, what have we got here? Cuts. So they demanded cuts from this film. 43 seconds were removed in 1994 in order to get this film back into circulation. So it was off shelves for a good 10 years. Those of you that have seen Friday the 13th Part 2 will know that there's a couple of the kills in that movie that are attributed to A Bay of Blood, which I think was released in around about 72, I think. 15 seconds left, folks. Its other titles include Twitch of the Death Nerve, and Bloodbath. And time is almost up. There we go. Time is up. And at the moment, it's sitting in second place. I like Bay of Blood. I really do. And the scene where the couple are shagging in Friday the 13th Part 2, and they get the spear through the back, and you see it go down into the floor, is ripped completely from A Bay of Blood. The same kill happens almost identically in A Bay of Blood. 1 second, folks. And it's worth a watch. Definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it. What else have we got here? Never cared for Bay of Blood. Thankfully, Friday the 13th ripped off the best kills. Rano says, I couldn't really get into Bay of Blood. Third tier for me, but one of the best alternate titles ever as Twitch of the Death Nerve. Yeah, it's a good title, isn't it? Prefer Blood and Black Lace from Bava, says Lee Wilson. And Duke says, love Bay of Blood. It's more ironical than people think. Yeah, it is quite witty in parts. I've never seen this. Got to check it out, says Brandon. Oh, definitely, Brandon. I think you'd really appreciate it. And Andrew says, I was never into Bava, having found Argento first. Once I saw Profondo Rosso, I was hooked to Argento. Yeah, Deep Red's a great film. Okay, let's move over and start the second vote. And it is Fulci Zombie. I'm going to have to go right to the bottom of my notes for this one. You have 82 seconds left to vote on Fulci's Zombie, or Zombie Flesh Eaters as it was called in the UK, or Zombie 2 as some people know it as. This was prosecuted successfully as well. It was released uncut, I think, on Vipco in 1981, directed by Lucio Fulci, and music by Fabio Frizzi, that great score. Ian McCulloch, Tisa Farrow, Al Cliver. A mysterious illness resurrects the dead on a Caribbean island, unleashing some of the most graphic zombie violence ever filmed. Banned and prosecuted as obscene, as I said, the BBFC refused certification for decades due to eye splinter scene and gore. It's fully uncut now. I mean, Arrow did a fantastic version of it just this last year, actually used the original Video Nasty artwork as one of the optional covers as well. 27 seconds left, folks. But the first UK approved release of this film had actually 2 minutes of cuts. So it was a little while until all the footage was actually restored into the UK release. And everybody remembers that eye splinter scene. It's one of the best scenes in 80s horror, I think. And also the underwater shark fight scene as well. Okay, time's up on Zombie. Top tier. Absolutely. Agree with that. Love this film. Zara says, first tier for Splinter and Eyeball scene alone. Rick says, I'm not even a Fulci fan, but I still love Zombie Flesh Eaters. I think it's his best work. Chester says, Zombie was a good movie. Lee Wilson says, I love Zombie, but it's very much a slow burn. It is, but I think it's interesting. I really, as I said in the video that I did the other day, I love the fact that you've got this doctor who's kind of frantically trying to find some sort of cure for it. And also the look of Fulci's zombies, which are just so gut-wrenching. I think they're disgusting to look at. Right from the beginning, when you get the zombie on the boat zombie, there's some great-looking makeup in that film. Duke says Zombie Flesh Eaters was one of my 2 or 3 favorite zombie movies. Me too. Wraith says Zombie Shark scene is worth it for the film alone. Yeah, it's such a bizarre sequence, and the fact that the makeup stays intact on the zombie under the salt water as well. Mia Farrow's sister, yeah, died about 2 years ago. I think she did. It's fairly recent when she passed. Okay, so currently in first place we have Zombie. Let's start the next vote, and we have The Last House on the left. I'm gonna have to go HIJKL. Obviously, Wes Craven, 1972 or 3, I think it was. 72 it was. Successfully prosecuted. Really scuzzy, brutal movie this is. I watched it last year, about a year ago, and I'm still shocked at this movie. I just think there's no hope in it whatsoever. And I actually feel a lot of the time, David Hess, was in, I think, at least 3 movies where he played a similar character, doing similar naughty things. I find it difficult to look at the guy. Sandra Cassell, Lucy Grantham, David Hess, Fred J. Lincoln. 2 teenage girls are kidnapped, assaulted, and murdered by a group of sadistic criminals who will knowingly seek refuge in the home of one of the victim's parents, leading to a brutal revenge. Banned outright and successfully prosecuted. 17 seconds left, folks. The first UK BBFC approved release in 2002 still required 31 seconds of cuts, mainly sexual violence and humiliation. I think, if I remember rightly, I think it is available uncut now. Time's up on that one. Loosely inspired by The Virgin Spring, David Hess also composed the folk style songs in this film. Excuse me. One of the most influential revenge films ever made, and central to censorship debate still today, I think. I struggle with this film watching it. I said this on my video the other day. I actually find it more tougher to watch than I Spit on Your Grave. The remake is good. I do like the remake. You just bought this today as well. Wow. You're in for a grim weekend. Brandon says, I'm a Last House fan. It's brutal and raw, but it takes a lot to make a film that is still effective 50 plus years later. Let's have a look at the voting on that one. It was voted in second place in second tier. 4 of you voted it in first place, 7 in second, 4 in third, 4 in fourth, and 2 in fifth. Duke says, to be fair, not my kind of movie. If you get the opportunity to listen to Wes Craven's commentary on it, that's quite interesting. Because obviously Wes Craven was in a different place back then as well. He was off the back of making some porn and that kind of stuff. And it's interesting when he sort of gives his thoughts on David Hess. He's not a fan at all. He didn't like the guy one bit. And it's interesting to hear him talk about it in that way. And I think that commentary was done while David Hess was still alive as well. Has to go in the bottom tier, says Tony. It's nasty. R&R should remain banned. I'm not sure it should remain banned, but it's a tough watch. It really is. Watched Last House on YouTube uncut yesterday. Apart from the killings and ordeal, it is rubbish. But it is pretty much all ordeal all the way through. Gina says, I can't watch the OG Last House on the Left anymore, but I like the remake. The remake is good. It's a solid film. Andrew says, Last House on the Left is just a nasty flick, and Hess was apparently the same in real life by all accounts. Yeah, it's comes to something when 3 of your major roles are that kind of same person. Yeah. James says Hess was apparently into his character so much he was like that when cameras were off as well. Yeah, it pretty much is what Wes Craven says on that documentary. Katie Boyd says Last House made me want to take a shower and a shot of penicillin after watching it. Yep. And Rick says Last House is a rough sit, but it's abrupt. Bizarre changes in tone make it surreal and hypnotically watchable. Yeah, I always find it, whenever I watch it, I always find it really difficult that they end up where they end up at the end of the film. I just, it's a stretch for me to believe that. But, it's, and the ending does nothing for me to, what's done is done. It's not like Day of the Woman, I was going to call it then, I Spit on Your Grave, where there's a horrible, brutal 45 minutes, and then there's this arc of redemption and revenge. So, that kind of makes that movie a little more, They're still both horrible films. A little more palatable than Last House on the Left, I think. Okay, let's start on the next one. We are now talking about The House by the Cemetery. One of my favorites, this. You just get my notes. Okay. Oh, wrong one. That's The House on the Edge of the Park. House by the Cemetery. 1981. This wasn't successfully prosecuted. It was actually moved to Section 2. So the ones that weren't prosecuted, they created their own list called Section 2, which meant they were liable to be, they were at risk of being prosecuted, but they were all failed. And so we had a kind of lighter secondary list, which comprised of 33 movies that were unsuccessful in the courts. Directed by Lucio Fulci, music by Walter Rizzati, Katrina McCall, Paolo Malco, Giovanni DeNava, Anya Pieroni. A family moves into an old New England house with a gruesome past, discovering it is home to a murderous, decaying doctor hidden beneath the cellar. Yeah, and what a horrible looking thing he is when he's revealed as well. Later, the BBFC approval required over 2 minutes of cuts, mainly throat slashing and child threat violence. Time is up on this one. Yeah, this one took a while for it to become uncut as well in the UK. I think it was released, as it says here, with 2 minutes of cuts, probably in the late 90s, early 2000s, I think. Eye and gore effects were key problems in this area. Yeah, there's some nasty moments in this film, particularly towards the latter part of the movie, and the kid as well. If you're going to watch this film, watch it the subtitled version. The dubbing on the kid is just it's insufferable. It really is. Part of Fulci's unofficial Gates of Hell trilogy. One of Vipco's most seized titles, apparently. Child endangerment, heightened censorship scrutiny. I think that's stretching it a bit, is that, I think. It's just, there's a kid, like there is kids in lots of horror films that are in peril. And yeah, later UK releases restored all the cut footage. So, like, I think, was it Second Sight? I think brought out a really cool version a couple of years ago. Phil Knowles sends in a super chat and says, won't get to stay, so I'll congratulate the Evil Dead now and leave you all to it. Another great video. Thank you, Phil. Well, you don't know. We'll see. It did well in the polls earlier on. Let's just see where... So House of the Cemetery ended up first place on second tier. One of you voted it in first place, 14 in second place, 1 in third, and nobody in fourth or fifth. Yeah, Bob is so annoying, the kid. Yeah. But the doctor, when he's revealed, I think that the look and everything, the makeup, it's superb. Thank you for the super chat, Phil. That's really kind of you. Okay, let's start the next vote, and it is the Funhouse. We just found my notes. The Funhouse, 1981, Toby Hooper. I seem to think that this one was mistakenly banned. I think it was confused with another movie at the time. Because there's nothing in the Funhouse. If any of you've seen the Funhouse, it's incredibly tame. It's just a slasher with not much slashing in it. I actually find it quite boring. Obviously, Toby Hooper, music by John Beale, Elizabeth Berridge starring in it. Let me just get my notes up here. Sean Carson, Cooper Huckabee, Kevin Conway. 4 teenagers sneak into a traveling carnival's funhouse after hours, only to become trapped with a deformed killer hiding among the attractions. It was withdrawn in the early 80s with no successful prosecution. Not surprised. And the later the BBFC certified VHS required minor trims to gore and prolonged terror shots around about 30 seconds. So yeah, it still had 30 seconds taken out of it. Often assumed to be banned due to Toby Hooper's name and the timing of things. Yeah, it's just an okay film. It's a lot better than a lot of the nasties on the list. Time's up, I think now. There you go. Time's up. But it should never have been bundled in with all these horrible movies that we've been talking about. Okay, so Funhouse is in third tier. One of you voted it in second place, 2 in third, and just 3 voters on Funhouse? Really? 37 of you participating? Okay. That's bizarre that only 3 of you voted on that. Let me just put the tier link in the chat again. Bob is worse than the little shit in Babadook. Bob's not as annoying as the children of the damned. Also, Bob's not as annoying as Richard Harris's son in The Wild Geese. He's pretty annoying. How was Funhouse banned? It really is tame. It is tame, totally. Annoyingly, my Wi-Fi messed up, but House would have been top tier, and at this point, I need that bad Bob dub. Duke Fleet says, definitely not a video nasty, this one. I seem to remember some, I think Davey Dark, he told me that it was mixed up with another title called Funhouse or something along those lines. And so it was sort of mistakenly put on the list. I think I'm right in saying that. I'd have to look that up. I should have looked it up beforehand. Brandon says, if you like old gypsy ladies giving deformed guys hand jobs, have I got a movie for you? Is that a quote from Funhouse? I can't remember. I watched it fairly recently as well. I've got the Shout Factory version of it. Gina says, wasn't bothered about Funhouse. My brother thought it would scare me, but I was bored stupid. Yeah, it's a nice idea, but it's just Gunther's, like, he wears a mask and then he's kind of like deformed underneath that. But I love the look of it. And those of you that watch The Thing with Two Heads, you'll see in the background, Chris Nelson has his own Gunther head cast in the background. It's a good look, but it kind of looks a bit sort of, a little bit goofy nowadays. We should put that on the poster, Johnny. The Funhouse is okay. Yeah, banned because of Hooper, maybe. Got tied in that. Myers fan says, Funhouse was confused with another movie of the same title that only managed to get a few tapes into circulation. That tape goes for a lot of money. I like Hooper's version for the makeup effects. Okay, so I haven't seen the other Funhouse. Adam said, my vote didn't register for some reason. That's interesting. Okay, so some of you couldn't vote on the Funhouse. Okay. My vote also didn't. Well, hopefully the next one will. Let's start the next vote and see how we get on there. Okay, so the next vote is The Evil Dead. And it's straight up into the top tier. 5 of you have voted for it so far. Okay, so this was the main sort of poster boy for the video nasties, I think. Although it wasn't successfully prosecuted, it was actually removed from the DPP list and put into Section 2. However, it was removed from circulation, I think. Obviously directed by Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, Ellen Sandweiss, Hal Delrick. 5 friends in a remote cabin unleash demonic forces after playing a mysterious tape recording leading to relentless possession and extreme violence. As I said, withdrawn during the hysteria despite no prosecution. And then when it came back, the BBFC required 49 seconds of cuts for dismemberment and possession violence. Fully uncut release, eventually approved decades later. In fact, if I remember rightly, I think this may have aired on TV uncut before it actually made it to VHS. 8 seconds left, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Vote is over. And bizarrely, The Evil Dead is second place. Phil Knowles thought it was going to win. Okay. Well, this is interesting because I actually thought The Evil Dead would win as well. 15 of you voted it in first place, 3 of you in second, 2 in third, 2 in fourth, and 1 in fifth. When it comes to Fulci's Zombie, 18 of you voted it in first place. So that's why Fulci's Zombie is ahead of The Evil Dead. Yeah, try reloading the page if it's not working. I don't think Funhouse, I mean, only 3 people voted on Funhouse due to a little glitch. I don't think it would have it would have troubled the top tier at all. Tony says Evil Dead is real. Oh, you don't like it, Tony? Right, okay. It was really overrated. The trailer was the best, but we're gonna get you. Pencil in the ankle gets me every time. I think gets everyone that moment. Can feel it. I've still got the original uncut New Zealand VHS from when it first released. Wow, hang on to that, James. Hang on to that. The Channel 4 band season is where it was aired, I think. Yeah, I seem to remember it. And Duke says, The Evil Dead scared the hell out of me when I first watched it. Still find it somewhat disturbing. It's a great watch. Great film, says Gina, and I still watched... Great film, and I still watched, but the melting deadites looking like mushy peas made me ill for a week. I couldn't tell Mam what was wrong, because my brother would have gotten into trouble, I'm guessing you're saying. Myers fan Andrew says, I love the Evil Dead artwork, the documentaries, books, and history, but I'm not a massive fan of the film itself. Yeah, just one thing, folks, on the artwork, and you may have seen my post during the week where I said that YouTube was being really funny about me posting some of this Nasties artwork. What I wanted to do was use the original UK VHS artwork for all the polls and everything. And I tried to do that, and it just wasn't having it. There must be something within the algorithm about Nasties, like the Driller Killer thing. I was that close to getting a strike because I put the Driller Killer artwork up in that tiny little 1 centimeter square image on the poll. I got an email from YouTube twice warning me, saying that this isn't on. And I'm like, you can barely see it. I mean, it is pretty nasty, that Driller Killer artwork, but come on, this is a 45-year-old movie. When you look at that drill bit going into that guy's head, you can see it's like a drinking straw pumping blood over his face. But so I've played it safe with the artwork that I've used here on the stream tonight. I really wanted to use all the original UK VHS artwork, but it was too much of a risk. I didn't want the stream to get shut down, so I've been a little bit more conservative with some of the pics, he says, whilst looking at a rotted man's head there from Fulci's Zombie. Wraith says, Evil Dead is solid, but I prefer the sequel. And Phil says it shows what I know. But thanks for the super chat anyway, Phil. Channel 4 had that red triangle thing on in their band season. And Brandon says, Tony has a night of passionate love with Sydney Sweeney, wakes up the next morning and says, I've had better. Can I call you a cab? The artwork on the UK releases for the first 2 Evil Dead films was amazing. It is. I love that Graham Humphreys artwork, that one there. It wasn't used in the US, it was only used in the UK. And that, for me, that symboled Video Nasty to me. Because as a kid at school, that was the one film that everybody was talking about, was The Evil Dead. Lee says the tree attack scene is still quite disturbing. I think it caused some controversy. It is still quite nasty. Nathan says was never shown on terrestrial UK TV prior to post-Nasty Video Van, was however heavily profiled on Jonathan Ross's Incredibly Strange Film Show. Yeah, I seem to remember that as well. You can still watch a load of those on YouTube. They're brilliant. I always love the Jackie Chan one. The Jackie Chan episode is fantastic. Driller Killer is in the public domain, so anyone can watch and use it. Is it public domain now? Wow. And Channel 4 showed the uncut version of the Evil Dead remake as well. Yeah, I don't think a great deal gets cut off on TV these days if you're showing it post-Watershed. Is Zombie the one where the woman gets a bit of wood through the eye? That's the one. That's the one, Justin. And UK artwork usually seems to be better for horror films from the 80s. Well, there were no restrictions. And so people would just, try and sell these really naff movies, or the bulk of them being really naff, by jazzing up the artwork as much as they could. And in some instances, putting images on there that weren't even anything to do with the film. Deshaun says, the only great Evil Dead is the 2013. I think that's possibly within this crowd, in this chat room right now, could be fighting talk, Deshaun. But no, if you feel that way, that's great. I do like that film, I must admit, but I do go back to the original, I think. I think there's just a real charm to it. And you can see how much love, effort, and attention has gone into this movie that was made by this bunch of kids, Daz says those are fighting words. Okay, right, let's kick off the next vote. It's The Burning. Let's go up here and get my burning notes. I think I found them. I got them there. 1 second. Well, Tony Maylam, I can do this off the top of my head. Tony Maylam directed it. It was a British TV director. Here we go. Tony Maylam. It was prosecuted. I find it bizarre that this film was, The Burning's a really strong slasher movie, was prosecuted, removed from the shelves. They reissued it not long after with cuts. It was reissued with cuts. And if you had The Burning VHS, you had like a library stamp on there to say that it had been sent back to the distributor. They'd self-certificated it, self-censored it, and put it back into circulation. Music by Rick Wakeman, as we know. A real big cast. Brian Matthews, Leah Ayres, Jason Alexander, Fisher Stevens, Holly Hunter. Camp Summerland's caretaker is horribly burned by a prank gone wrong. Returns to stalk and shear teens with a pair of garden shears in classic slasher fashion. 8 seconds left, folks, on this one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and paused. 17 of you voted it in first place, 3 in second, 2 in fourth, and 1 in fifth. Yeah, I'm a big Burning fan. I think most of you know that. I love Savini's work in this film. I love the Rick Wakeman score. Tony Maylam originally, if you listen to the commentary, talks about how he'd got yes to actually do the score for the movie, and they couldn't get them together in time to record it. And so Rick Wakeman said, look, I'll just do it on the keyboards. And what a fantastic score it is. It really is. Suits the film perfectly. And the actual soundtrack album is even better than the music you get on the film. What else can we say about The Burning? Yeah, it's obviously famous for its raft scene. Great piece of Savini madness, that sequence. And Harvey Weinstein's first movie, I believe. It was either his first horror or his first movie. I think it was Miramax's first movie, if I remember rightly. And Savini, as we know, he turned down Friday the 13th Part 2. He wasn't a fan of the way the plot was going with Jason, when, Jason was supposedly dead. And so he took The Burning on. And I love it. I can't rank it highly enough. Zara says, obviously top tier. Another I've got on physical recently. One of the best slashers ever, says Lee Wilson. Reese probably asleep now. He's in Australia. Chester Franklin says, I freaking love The Burning. Great soundtrack. Was a great movie too. Solid slasher, says Wraith, with an awesome soundtrack. The Burning is unbelievably boring. Seriously overrated. Don't get the love. Tony, you don't do yourself any favors. You're off again. The Burning is my third favourite horror after Pieces and Halloween. My brother had uncut copies of all. Great fun. Tier 1, says Andrew, for The Burning. Best slasher film of the 80s. Shot really well. Great effects. Cracking score. Ticks all boxes. I'll agree. It is a slow burn, is The Burning. But there's something, there's like a real seal of quality to it, I think. And I love the moment in the hospital at the beginning when the hand comes through the curtain and grabs the orderly. That makeup on that arm there is just fantastic. I just wish we'd have got more of that throughout the film. I think Savini's famously said he was really unhappy with the final look of Cropsey. It does look like a kind of chewed up bit of bubble gum. I quite like it. I think it's quite shocking. It does remind me of the Doctor in The House by the Cemetery. But if we'd have had more makeup like that, really raw makeup that you see in the hospital on Cropsey, then maybe it would have worked a lot better in those final sequences. The real downside to this movie is it's so finite. Like there was talk of a sequel, and the director goes into that on the commentary on the Blu-ray. He said there was talk of it, but it's so finite at the end. You can't bring him back from that unless you go down some sort of supernatural route, you know. Johnny Rocker says, adore The Burning. I know you're a huge fan, Johnny. Yeah, it's great stuff. The Burning is top tier for me, says Brandon. Would love to see a remake done well. Yeah, me too. Actually, Duke, Tony, if you go back to the last stream that we did, Tony actually listed his top 10 movies of all time. And it's a nice list. It is a nice list. It's a very safe list, though, Tony. A very safe list. Just a pity that some of the scenes... didn't the director also direct Chitty Chitty Bang Bang? Tony Malum? Is that right? I thought he was kind of like a Brit TV director. I don't know. Brandon, can you fact check that for me? Just a pity that some of the scenes you can see the grubby paws of the Weinsteins all over it. Yeah, but I mean, all kind of slasher movies in the early 80s were known for their TNA, weren't they? Duke, I put my all-time top 10 in the comments on the last... You did. Thanks for that, Tony. He has provided his top 10 films, Zara. It is a safe list. It is a very safe list. And Wraith says it has a slow middle and then it kicks off with the raft scene. Yeah, the raft scene's about an hour in. But from then onwards, it's pretty kind of relentless to the end. Anyway, we're not even halfway through. Let's kick off the next one. It is, oh, what a film. The Beyond. Fulci's The Beyond. One of my favourite of the Nasties. Wasn't successfully prosecuted, so consequently it was moved to Section 2. But the original version that's out there is widely collected. It was withdrawn, and then the BBFC requested cuts for later VHS and DVDs. I'm pretty sure it's available uncut now. Lucio Fulci, obviously, music by Fabio Frizzi. Katrina McCall, again, David Warbeck, Cynthia Monreal. A Louisiana hotel sits atop one of the 7 gates of hell. Supernatural horrors, zombies, and grotesque deaths unfold in a surreal, dreamlike descent into hellish chaos. It is chaos, is this film. I love it. I mean, it doesn't entirely make sense, and I think that's the main criticism that a lot of people come up with this. It's just bonkers. But the ending to it is just something else. I love the ending to this film. I really do. And again, a great score that accompanies it. What's TNA, Darren? You know damn well. The Beyond, it's a newspaper in Bradford, the Telegraph and Argus. Thank you. The Beyond is an absolute favourite of mine, says Johnny. The Beyond. We've just the voting time's run out. 13 of you voted it in first place, 2 of you in second, 1 of you in fourth. That's it. It finishes 4th place on the first tier, which I'm really pleased about, because when we did the horror of the 80s a few months back, the Beyond like nearly finished last or something. I was gutted. I was like, what the hell is it doing there? But yeah, if you get a chance to check out the Beyond, do check it out. It's really cool. I love the Beyond. It has one of the best endings ever. Love the score for the Beyond, says Duke. Yes, it's terrific. I think it's actually... I'm hoping it's on this. I'm pretty sure that the score is on this. Yes, it is. This 6-disc box set, which is just insane. I think it's my favorite, or pretty much my favorite release of last year. Darren, whose 4K is that one you have? Oh, Grindhouse in the US. They brought this out, and I bought it from... I think I bought it from... It wasn't Rare Waves. It was a UK company that... Maybe it was Treasured Films or something like that. It was one of those. I paid quite a bit for it because obviously it had to be imported. The commentary with David Warbeck recorded on his sickbed is an amazing... Is it really? He was on his sickbed? Oh, wow. Okay, I shall have to listen to that. Your vote didn't go through. Oh, what a shame. What a shame, Tony. Andrew. Tony was surprised no one caught that. What was that? What have I missed? Let me have a look. I can't see. James says, Gates of Hell, my favorite, then Zombie, then The Beyond, fantastic set pieces, and New Orleans saying, going back there this October, might look for locations. Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. I don't know if they've been done. I wonder if there's any YouTube videos where people have done those locations. Yeah, highly recommend The Beyond. Okay, let's kick off the next vote, which I saw was Tenebrae. Tenebrae, one of my favorite of the Nasties for sure. Really well made Argento movie. Great whodunit. 1982, successfully prosecuted was this film in the UK. Music by Goblin, Anthony Franciosa, Dario Nicolodi, John Saxon, an American author promoting a violent novel in Rome, becomes entangled in a series of razor blade murders seemingly inspired by his own work. Banned and prosecuted under the Obscene Publications Act. The BBFC refused certification for years due to the stylized sadism in the film. And they approved a UK release with 6 seconds of cuts, mainly razor blade violence. I think subsequently it has been released uncut. In fact, this version here was it Arrow? Yeah, Arrow did this fantastic 3-disc version of Tenebrae here, which is one of my favorite Blu-rays there. 4K, sorry. Where are we? 16 seconds left to vote on Tenebrae. One of his most polished giallos, I think. And then, as I spoke about on my Nasties episode the other day, there's this amazing tracking shot where we... hang on, the vote is over. There we go. Tenebrae finishes 4th in first place. 14 of you voted it in first place, 3 in second, 1 in third, 18 of you in total. Superb. Glad it's at the top. Yeah, there's this tracking shot around the house that he does, going in through windows and checking on people and then going up over the roof. It's just a fantastic shot, and it's done to the Tenebrae theme, the Goblin theme, which, if you know which I mean, it's a beautiful piece of music. It's almost like, given it was the early 80s, it's almost like a Goblin-type disco theme, and it suits the movie really well. What are we saying in here? My favorite Nasty and a great ending. Terrific ending. I mean, and I've talked about this so many times, but the axe through the window scene is 1, utterly horrific, and 2, beautiful at the same time as well. Like a Jackson Pollock painting or something. The way that she sprays the wall after her arm has been chopped off. It's shot so well, and the effects work are just terrific. It really does look fantastic. Tier 1 all day long, says Andrew. The setups are amazing. The axe scene has never been beaten for me. It hasn't. The only scene that I think rivals it in terms of realism is the scene in Day of the Dead when the guy gets bitten on the arm and they have to machete his arm off. That, to me, just looks so real. It's sickening, is that scene. I think the Argento scene with the axe doesn't look as convincing as that, but it's a more beautifully directed scene. It just looks incredible. It really does. Yeah, the former First Lady of Italy getting her arm set. I only learned that recently when you told me about that, Brandon. 69 of you watching at the moment. We did have about 75 in a minute ago. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. If you want to vote, you're more than welcome. We still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We still got about 12 or 13 movies to vote on. This is going to be a long stream, I think. We're already an hour in. The link to vote is in the chat now. I'm going to start the next vote, and it is Possession, which I have here in this wonderful Second Sight box set that came out recently. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm going to try and watch it this weekend. I've got some free time this weekend, which I'm going to try and watch Possession. So I have seen it before, long time ago. Again, ridiculous that it ends up on this list. I don't know what they were thinking at the time. This is more like art house horror. 1981, Sam Neill and Isabella Gianni. It was, let me just see now what happened now with Possession. Oh, it wasn't prosecuted. It was moved to Section 2. Released on Magnum Video in it originally, directed by Andrzej Zulawski. Isabella Gianni, like I said, Sam Neill, Heinz Bennett. A collapsing marriage in Cold War Berlin spirals into obsession, madness, and cosmic horror as a woman becomes entangled with a grotesque, otherworldly entity. And when you see Isabella Gianni's performance in this film and what she does, kind of reminds me a little bit of Lily Rose Depp in Nosferatu, with some of the contorting and physical work she does in that film. This is something completely, this is something far better than that, than the Lily Rose Depp scene. Not taking anything away from Lily Rose Depp, but honestly, Isabella Gianni's performance in this film is fantastic. Okay, so 14 of you voted on that one. 6 in first place, 1 in second, 6 in third, and 1 in fifth. A lot of people, you're either going to go with this film or you're not. A lot of people find it boring. I actually, when I first saw it, it's a long time ago when I first saw it, found it quite fascinating. I'd forgotten that I'd seen it. Everybody was saying it was, I think when I saw it, I didn't realize it was a video nasty. And when you watch the film, you watch it and you think, this just doesn't feel right, that it was tarred with that brush. And it wasn't until they announced the Second Sight box set that I realized I have actually seen this film. So I jumped on it, bought the box set, and I'm really looking forward. There's 2 cuts on the box set. The American cut they couldn't do with the fact that it was over 2 hours. It's cut down to 1 hour and 20 minutes. So you have the 2 versions on there. But I don't think I'm interested in watching the cut down version. I'm just going to go straight in on Saturday and watch the full version, I think. Okay, let's see what you guys are saying about Possession. Rando says, definitely the most artsy nasty. And Chunky Geordie says, don't forget to send the like button some love, please. Yeah, if you could do that, folks, that'd be great. I'll see if I can keep going with my voice is starting to go already. Oh, Tony, come on. The axe scene has not aged well. Oh, bloody hell. As Brandon said last week, you are ants at a picnic. Lee says, I never realized Possession was on the list. Chunky Joy said, I'm not voting, Darren, sorry, but it screws my phone up for some reason. Okay, that's okay. No worries. Only saw Possession a few months back on Shudder, not sure what to make of it. Milk abuse scene in Subway is different. Yeah. Possession looks and sounds amazing in 4K. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to sticking that on. It's brutally cold, says Andrew. Watched 4K last week, and it's another outstanding second sight release. It's proper fucked up. Yeah, I remember it being that way. Chunky Jordy said, I didn't bother with Possession, not my cup of tea. And Brandon says, Isabella Johnny is truly unhinged in this. They had better, they had a better marriage than I did, though. Sam Neill has done some great horror stuff in his early years. He did. Final Conflict, for one. They probably put it on the nasty list for being such an unbelievably stressful movie. Well, it wasn't successful, was it, in terms of its prosecution? Anyone know what Cannibal Apocalypse is? My brother had it, and I've never seen it. I'm not sure, as I hate Cannibal Holocaust. It's not as bad as Cannibal Holocaust, Gina, but it's still yeah, we'll get to it in a minute. Okay, let's kick off the next vote, which is The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. I saw this years ago. I vaguely remember it, but it's not one that I've kind of really thought about tracking down again. Where's my notes on this? House on the Edge of the Park. Maybe it's down there. You have 53 seconds left to vote on The Living Dead at Manchester Morgue. Maybe I didn't save my notes. No, I've lost. Oh, here we are. How long we got left? 30 seconds. Okay. It was success. It wasn't successfully prosecuted. It was also known as Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. I think this is I seem to remember this being a 70s movie, I think. 13 seconds left. Ray Lovelock, Christina Galbo, Arthur Kennedy. Well, read the synopsis on this. We'll just end the vote there. So Living Dead at Manchester Morgue is in top tier. It's in top tier. A new agricultural machine emits radiation that reanimates the dead, triggering a zombie outbreak in rural England and Spain, while authorities refuse to believe the truth. Withdrawn during the Nasties panic despite no successful prosecution, and later BBFC approval required minor trims to throat tearing and eye trauma lasting around about 25 seconds. And it was frequently misremembered as banned. It wasn't actually banned. Early eco-horror zombie film features one of the nastiest eye gouge scenes of the era. Strong anti-authoritarian tone. Arthur Kennedy reportedly disliked the film. Okay. And now widely regarded as a zombie classic. See what you guys think. I can barely remember this film. I remember the orange VHS box, which I couldn't find the artwork for. The orange VHS box, which had some zombies with cuts on their head and things. I seem to remember. I do remember renting the film and not really. At the time, I think that I rented it, I was not long off the back of Dawn of the Dead and Fulci's Zombie, and so this was a little kind of, I guess, lackluster compared to those. James says, love Manchester Morgue, got the special Blu-ray a few years, but very eerie and great gore for its time. Highly recommend. So good. The US Blue Underground release Blu-ray is region free if you can still get it. Myers fan says, Living Dead at Manchester Morgue is tier 1 and more people need to see it. Shot in Manchester and Derbyshire. I did the film locations a few years ago and it all still looks the same. Really? Okay. Yeah, you're making me want to take a look at this again. Like, I haven't seen it since I was a kid and I just don't have very fond memories of it. Tony Four Eyes, is there such a thing as an original idea zombie film? There's always an outbreak. Well, that's the thing, you see, Tony. Found this film very dull. Yeah, I seem to remember it being a bit dull, but maybe I was just kind of, sort of, I don't know, in a gaze because of the action that you get in movies like Dawn of the Dead. I don't know. Saw Manchester Morgan The Last Drive-In. It's a pretty solid zombie flick. Never seen this, says Duke. It's a good zombie flick, says Rando. And just caught this only last year. Not too bad. Some good practical gore. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie is an awesome zombie film. That was the alternate title, right? Okay, let's start off the next vote. Inferno, Argento's Inferno. How many of you have seen this film? Not his best movie, I don't think, but it's still, it's still decent. I always remember the Keith Emerson soundtrack to it. Keith Emerson, who also did, was it Murder Rock? I think he did the score in that as well. It wasn't successfully prosecuted. It was removed to Section 2. Lee McCloskey, Irene Miracle, and Dario Nicolodi. Again, Dario Nicolodi's in a lot of Argento films. A young man investigates his sister's disappearance, uncovering one of the three mothers, ancient witches whose power fuels death, fire, and madness. 37 seconds left, folks. Withdrawn during a hysteria despite no prosecution. Later, the BBFC VHS required approximately 20 to 30 seconds of cuts, mainly visceral violence and animal death. Considered too intense visually rather than narratively. And it's kind of an unofficial follow-up to Suspiria. Famous underwater apartment sequence. And Argento leaned fully into the operatic surrealism. It's now viewed as art house horror. I've got to admit, it's not one of my... I watched it a few years ago, and it's not one of my favorites. But, Inferno has gone top tier with you guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the top tier. 7 of you voted it in the first place. 2 of you in second. 3 in third. 1 in fourth. And 1 in fifth. See what folks say about Inferno here. Brandon says, Inferno just might be my favourite Argento. I definitely prefer it over Suspiria. Okay. I love the dream logic, and that underwater sequence in the hotel is surreal. Rando says, unpopular opinion, but I like Mother of Tears better than Inferno. Johnny Rocker says, rewatch it, Darren. It's awesome. Yeah, I can't remember. Did I watch it about 2 or 3 years ago? It wasn't a great copy that I had. Maybe I should see if I can track down a decent version of it. Synapse Blu-ray is the way to go for Manchester Morgue. 4K transfer, stack of extras. Okay, thank you, Andrew. Inferno is so wonderfully photographed, it makes up for an incomprehensible plot. James says Inferno is just meh. Can't remember much about it, but not a great rewatch. Worth like Suspiria, Deep Red, or Tenebrae. Yeah, I mean, I love those 3 films so much that this one, for me, I think I've watched Inferno twice. Never really stacked up against those 2 for me. But anyway, Inferno loses me when the brother becomes the lead. Looks fantastic, of course, but can't top that opening underwater room scene. Major step down from Suspiria for me. Was it actually... Because I always thought it was like kind of a sort of unofficial sequel. Is it actually billed as the sequel to Suspiria? He did produce Dawn of the Dead. You're right, Chester. Tony Four Eyes probably thinks Freddy's Dead is the best horror movie ever made. Sets on Inferno are outstanding. Underwater is way better than Titanic. Shy. Won't get a 4K of Inferno because Disney owns it. Okay, there must be a better version than the one that I think I had an old DVD from the late 90s or early 2000s. I don't have it anymore. I know that. So I pretty much got rid of all my DVDs. But yeah, maybe I'll look for a Blu-ray of it somewhere. Okay. Yes, part of the Mother of Tears trilogy. Okay. Right. Let's kick off the next vote. Here we go. Oh, a loose sequel. Yeah, I mean, that's what I thought it was as well. I thought it's kind of like the Gates of Hell trilogy, whereas it's an unofficial trilogy. Okay, a loose sequel. I Spit on Your Grave. 73 seconds left, folks. I Spit on Your Grave. Here we go. 1978. This was definitely prosecuted successfully. Miyazaki, music by David and Andrew Shire. Camille Keaton, who I said on the screen the other day, is Buster Keaton's niece. Erin Tabor, Richard Pace, Anthony Nichols. After being brutally assaulted by a group of men, a woman systematically hunts down and exacts revenge on her attackers in graphic fashion. Banned and prosecuted under the Obscene Publications Act, the BBFC refused classification for decades due to sexual violence. The first UK-approved release required over 7 minutes of cuts. Its later releases restored some material, but not all. So it's still not fully uncut in the UK, this film. One of the most debated films of the video Nasties era, accused of misogyny, defended as a feminist revenge film, and Camille Keaton became a cult icon. I believe she's at Sheffield HorrorCon this year. If anybody wants to meet her. They did do a sequel to it about 5 or 6 years ago, which apparently I haven't seen it. I just remember watching Barry's review from Wolfman's Got Nards, and he was totally offended by it, but not offended by the content, but just offended by the sheer length of the film, which was around about 3.5 hours or something. And he said it was just awful, absolutely awful. Original director, original female lead came back literally 40 odd years later or something. Okay. Rana says, I think I Spit on Your Grave is a great film, but holy shit, it's a tough watch. Yeah, it finishes in top tier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in top tier. 8 of you voted in first place, 2 in second, 3 in third, 1 in fourth, and 6 of you voted in fifth place. The best part of the film is the poster, which is apparently Demi Moore, the butt in the poster. Talk about nasty. This is a tough watch. It is a tough watch. Not one that I own, actually. I don't own it. I know that was it Imprint or Umbrella are doing a big box set of it that's coming out fairly soon. I do like the documentary though, which I mentioned on the episode that I did the other day, Growing Up with I Spit on Your Grave, which is directed by Miyazaki's son. And it's really fascinating just to hear all about it and his take on things. Tony Foray says, I prefer the remake of I Spit. The OG is just plain nasty. Yeah, the remake is I guess more, if you can shoot these sort of movies tastefully, it's more tastefully done than the original is, I guess. Wraith says, I Spit on Your Grave is such a rough watch. The bath scene put me off getting in the bath with the girlfriend for a while. You make it sound like it's a regular thing that you and your girlfriend bath together. You're just trying to save water. There's still no burned guy in the movie. Chopped and broken, yes, but no fucking burning. Just rewatched I Spit. Horrible flick. The rape scene, I shouldn't say that word. The R scene goes on for a lifetime. YouTube doesn't like saying that word. I needed turpentine scrub afterwards. Going to be meeting Camille Keaton at HorrorCon in June, Darren. I probably won't meet her, but I think it's a good booking. Don't watch the sequel. It's beyond awful. Yeah, so I hear. I Spot on Your Grave is goddamn unwatchable, says Rick. Brandon agreed. The poster is a classic. The poster is great. It's a really cool poster. I prefer the remake. The revenge scene is in it are brutal, says Wraith. And Brandon says, Daz, I have an original on my wall right next to my bed. I get to wake up to Demi every day. Tony Four Eyes says, this should be nowhere near top tier. This is painful, but that's what makes it impactful. I think I put it in 4th tier in my ranking. Brandon, that is deeply disturbing. It is a great poster. You have to admit that. My Chunky George said, I've never seen I Spit. B told me not to watch and explain why, so for once I listened. Chunky Geordie says, thanks for this, Darren. B passed away a year ago and loved most of these. Oh, your brother is that? I love most of these films, so you're really helping me get through tonight. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Sorry to hear that, Gina. Okay. Where are we at? Next to vote. Oh, God. The House on the Edge of the Park. I think this is a tougher watch than Last House and I Spit on Your Grave. Where are we now? House on the Edge of the Park, which is Diodato, who did Cannibal Holocaust. Let me just find my notes on this. Vote away, folks. It's David Hess again. I know that. Having a bit of bother finding my notes for this. H. Inferno. Okay, here we are. Yeah. 1981. Successfully prosecuted, and so it should be. David Hess, Giovanni Lombardo, Annie Bell, Lorraine DeSalle, two violent thugs crash a rich couple's house party, escalating into and torture and murder as the evening spirals into pure sadism. Banned outright and prosecuted under the Obscene Publications Act. Later UK releases required heavy cuts, although now it's, I think everything's been fully restored now. I think 88 Films did a release of it fairly recently, which I actually did buy because I'd never seen it before. And we were doing an episode on it, myself and Nigel, about a year ago. And I watched it. I think actually, whether it was me and Barry, we both watched it. And I was horrified by it. Absolutely. It's a grubby little movie. And for me, it would be bottom tier. But you guys put it in 4th tier. 2 of you put it in 1st place, 2 in 2nd, 2 in 3rd, 6 of you in 4th place, and 4 of you in 5th. Really like to hear what you guys think of this, and if anybody will own up to actually liking it. Hess totally plays Krug again, says Rando, sorry, and it's another rough watch. It is. Tony Four Eyes says, for fuck's sake, it just gets worse. This really is a nasty list. Can you believe there is 3 sequels to I Spit on Your Grave? There is. The remake has got quite a few, hasn't it? Cody, good to see you, sir. I haven't seen you around for ages. Hope you're doing well. Just a bad movie, in my opinion. It is. It's a terrible movie. Gina says, I'm not sure if I like this one. If I saw this one, I don't like David Hess. No. The voiceover guy in the trailer for this film gets the title wrong. He calls it The House on the Park of the Edge. Is that true? I got to watch that. That's fantastic. I got to check that out. Andrew says, absolutely nothing redeeming in The House on the Edge of the Park. We're in a ropey part of the show here, people. There is no good reason to buy this. I didn't appreciate it was as bad as it was when I bought it. And I couldn't get hold of it anywhere. We were doing an episode where we were going to talk about it. I couldn't get hold of it anywhere, so I did buy it, and it is on my shelf, which I am ashamed of. It's horrible. It really is. Edge of the Park is mind-numbingly boring. He's repeating the C word constantly while Giovanni looks stoned. Total time waster. Avoid. No vote for me. Never seen it and not too sure if I want to, says Lee. Chunky Geordie says, she was, Daz, I just watched the facts on the film not so long ago. Okay. I remember liking this film when saw it with my ex. I bought the 88 Films edition a while back, but haven't watched it yet. You remember liking this film? Okay. Well, I guess 2 of you did put it in the top place. Should I fly over to Manchester for Love of Horror this year? Yeah, do the October one, Cody. I don't think... I'm not sure. I haven't spoke to Colin yet, but I don't know if I'm going to the early one. But certainly October, I'll be going. David Hess face in slow-mo when shot at the end. That man, monster. Okay. Right, let's kick off the next vote. Dead and Buried. Dead and Buried. Let's see. So Dead and Buried was 1980. Was it 1981, I think. Let me just find my lovely notes for this. The boogeyman there. Okay, so Dead and Buried, 1982 it was. Gary Sherman directed it. Music by Joe Renzetti. James Farentino. Melody Anderson. Dale Arden from Flash Gordon. Jack Albertson. A quiet coastal town hides a horrifying secret as visitors are brutally murdered and seemingly resurrected. The sheriff uncovers a dark conspiracy involving vengeance and the undead. 40 seconds left, folks. Withdrawn from circulation during the early 80s panic. Later BBFC releases required minor gore trims, head trauma and burn effects, approximately 30 to 40 seconds. It's still a lot to be removed in early certified versions. I'm sure it's available uncut now. Joe Dante co-wrote the script, mixes folk horror, slasher, and zombie tropes, often wrongly assumed to be never banned, and now widely regarded as an underrated classic. 7 seconds left, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. Dead and Buried is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8th in the first tier. 6 of you voted it in first tier, 4 in second, 1 in third. Just 11 people voted on that one. I think it's, whenever you mention this film, it's kind of, I don't know. I think it was wrong to put it on the Nasties list. I really do. It's just a decent horror film. I really like it. I was late to it as well. I never saw it when it first came round. And so I was surprised when I actually watched it of how kind of tame it is and how mainstream it is. In terms of a nasty movie. Scott Thomas Bamey says, I think I caught your cough just by watching your video. Sends in a super chat of $5. Thank you so much, Scott. The cough's not too bad. It's just my throat dries up a lot while I'm talking a lot. It's quite a feat to talk for 2 hours or over 2 hours. And not have dead air and not dry up. So especially when you're recovering from the flu or whatever it was I had. Yeah, thank you very much for that, Scott. That's really appreciated. Melody Anderson, yeah. Used to have a thing for Dale Arden. I think all of us did back in the early 80s. Okay, we're on to the big guns now. Probably the most infamous nasty. Not the worst, although it depends what version you watch. I think it is the worst if you watch the full version. I think if you watch the cruelty-free version, it's a different movie altogether and not a bad movie. So, Cannibal Holocaust. Here we go. Let's see what you guys think of Cannibal Holocaust. Definitely prosecuted and still not available in any sort of uncut form today. I think there's still one of the animal sequences missing from the fullest version that's out there at the moment, I believe. It's one of the most infamous nasties that's out there as well. Diodato directed it. Music by Riz Ortolani. Great score for this film. In fact, I know somebody who walked down the aisle to the main theme to this movie. A beautiful piece of music. Robert Kerman, Francesco Cirardi, Perry Pickanen, Luca Barbareschi. An anthropologist travels into the Amazon to recover missing documentary filmmakers, uncovering footage that exposes extreme brutality, cultural exploitation, and the thin line between civilization and savagery. Okay, so in terms of cuts, banned outright under the Obscene Publications Act, seized nationwide, and distributors prosecuted. The BBFC refused classification for decades due to sexual violence and real animal killings. And the first UK BBFC approved release, 2001, required extensive cuts of approximately 6 minutes. 4 seconds left, folks, to vote on this film. And it's top tier and quite high up in top tier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th in top tier. 8 of you voted in first place, 3 in second, 1 in third, 3 in fourth, and 3 in fifth. So 18 voters on that. I'm going to put the link in the chat again so you guys can join in again if you want. Yeah, certainly one of the grubbiest nasties out there. But like I said, if you can get that animal, the cruelty-free version, it's a different movie altogether, and not a bad one, and probably one of the first, the earliest found footage movies, I guess. What else have we got? Yeah, I think, isn't there a story about Deodato being charged with murder and he had to prove that the actors were still alive in the film or something along those lines? Maybe it's like an old wives' tale or something, but I think something like that did actually happen. Yeah, as I said before, it's still legally really contentious in the UK and not available in any sort of full uncut version. But I do believe it's on YouTube fully uncut. Free to watch, I think, as well. My voting isn't working, but would have put it first. A good film. The Needle in the Eye is rough, plus melody and written by Dano. Hey, Paul, how you doing, buddy? Self-praise is no praise, Darren. What are you talking about? Are you talking about me talking for 2 hours? I unapologetically love Cannibal Holocaust. It really is a great story. I know the animal stuff is hard to watch, but they ate those animals. It's a circle of life. It loves us all. Yeah, it's just not. It's not very palatable, though, is it? I know what you're saying. But I can't. I love animals. I've got pets of my own. Good God. UK is cut, but not in the US, I think. Yeah. I mean, Brandon, I think it's a brilliant film, but I certainly understand the hate for it as well. I don't hate it. I know a lot of people do, but I just, if ever I watch it, I have to look at that. And in fact, when we did the episode on it last year, I couldn't actually, I have the cruelty-free version now. I couldn't find it at the time. And so I refused to watch it. It was on TV over here last year as well, believe it or not. Uncut. There's that horror channel. It's like it's like an acronym, 3 letters or something like that. And they played it on there. Brandon says, yeah, I get it, but unless you're a vegan, I will never understand people getting bent out. Okay. Holocaust was the film that got me in trouble with the New Zealand customs. Had to sit in a room with 3 custom officers, 3 police, and the film censor representative to watch this for importing it. Really? I remember you telling me about this some time ago, I think. Yeah, Tony says it is on YouTube, yeah. Bronco, stop cough lozenges help with your throat and stop you feeling dry. Darren, try them out. Thank you. In fact, I'll just have a swig of vodka Diet Coke. That might sort me out. There we go. Myers fan Andrew says, Cannibal Holocaust, really well-made film. Great soundtrack. However, the animal scenes are horrendous. 4K animal cruelty-free version on 88 films is outstanding. Yeah. Dad says, out of sight, out of mind, Brandon people. Oh, yeah, we keep talking to Brandon. He was arrested for murder until he proved everyone is alive. Yeah, I remember hearing something about that. I think I saw an interview with him on one of the I think it was the Grindhouse Blu-ray. Was it the Grindhouse Blu-ray or one of the Blu-rays? I can't remember now. Where he talked about that. That story is true. Deodato was arrested in Italy and had to produce the indigenous woman from the impalement sequence and explain the effect to clear his name. God. The court story is true. Darren Deodato has stated it in many talks. Yeah, I remember seeing him talking about it because he talks about it in Italian, doesn't he? The cruelty just puts me off this film. However, it's weird that Friday the 13th gets away with a snake killing in that movie. Yeah, very weird. And the actors had to sign a contract to not do any other films after release, apparently to make it look like they really died. Wow, okay. Vodka, just like the doctor ordered. Yeah, just the one. Just the one. Okay. Let's go with the next one. Oh, Cannibal Apocalypse. So we go from Holocaust to Apocalypse. Slightly more palatable, but still, I think there's a bit of animal cruelty in this one, if I remember right. 1980, directed by Antonio Margheriti. Music by Alessandro Alessandroni. John Saxon, Giovanni Lombardo Radici, and Elizabeth Turner. Vietnam vets return home carrying an infection that turns them into flesh-eating killers, spreading cannibalistic panic through urban environments. So in terms of cuts and censorship, this one was successfully prosecuted. I think I said that, but yeah, it was. Later, after it was withdrawn, the later UK releases saw 2 seconds of cuts focused on animal cruelty elements to satisfy BBFC guidelines. Part war movie, part cannibal schlock, blending genres, often falsely marketed as Cannibal Holocaust knockoff. UK collectors prized the early pre-cert VHS, and Saxon reportedly had mixed feelings about the final cut. That's John Saxon, not the rock band. Later UK editions cleaned up gore for broader release. I've seen this a couple of times. It's fine. It's fine. I don't remember what the animal stuff was, to be honest. Maybe I had a cut version or something. But I do know there was issues with it. Okay. The snake is worse to me, serves no purpose, and they don't eat it. I love Deodato's cameo in Hostel 2 as the cannibal client. Yeah. Cannibal Apocalypse? Apocalypse is a banger apart from the killing of rats. Saxon is... Oh, is that what it is? Is it rats? Right, okay. Trailer for Apocalypse is great. For God's sake, don't put it down as zombie munches on goods. And didn't Antonio Margheriti kill old Adolf in Inglourious Bastards? Is that true? Okay. Yeah, now that rings a bell now. That does ring a bell. Okay, so Cannibal Apocalypse finishes first in the third tier, just before Funhouse. 2 of you voted it in first place, 2 in second, 5 in third, 2 in fourth, and nobody voted it in fifth. Ready to kick off the next one. We have just 4 films left, and 4 pretty notorious ones as well. The Boogeyman, or the Bogeyman, whatever you want to call it. I know Davey Dark on the Forgotten Horror channel, this is one of his favorites. Absolutely one of his favorites. I think it was what year would it have been now? 1980. It wasn't successfully prosecuted. It was moved to Section 2, which meant it was just liable to be seized or withdrawn or suppressed in some way, but they never did. Directed by Uli Lamel and music by Tim Krog. Susanna Love, Nicholas Love, and John Carradine starred in this film. A woman haunted by a childhood mirror murder. Childhood mirror murder returns to confront the supernatural force behind it, with the boogeyman killing those close to her. BBFC removed 44 seconds of violent material on home video to secure classification. I would imagine it's available uncut now, I'm quite sure. Suzanne Love, the director's wife, stars in a rare leading role. Carradine's scenes were shot separately, a production oddity. Its mirror motif becomes a cult talking point, and it's often mistaken for the Boogeyman 2005 by casual fans. Its suppressed VHS is now collectible. We have 2 seconds left. 1-0. And the Boogeyman is in second tier. 4th place in second tier. 2 of you voted in first place. 6 in second. 4 in third. 2 in fourth. Nobody voted it in fifth. Where are we now? I remember the video cover in the video store. Couldn't wait to see it, and when I did, it was shite. Well, you surprised me, Tony. The Boogeyman is Uli Lomel's only good film, says Rick. Rando says, I really enjoyed this. The sequel is a complete waste of time, but was also on the nasty list. What was the... Was it the Boogeyman 2? It wasn't on the... Was it on the... in the original 72? I can't remember now. Was it added to the Section 2 or Section 3 later? I really like Boogeyman when I saw it over a decade ago. Have the Vinegar Syndrome edition and not revisited yet. Brand says, never seen this. Wraith says, liked Boogeyman. The score is super creepy. And Chunky Geordie says, where's the apocalypse set? Is it like a village or bigger? As I'm not sure I remember it and don't know if I should watch. What, the cannibal film? No, I think it's the fact that these guys come back from Vietnam with this disease or whatever and turn into flesh-eating men, cannibals. I think that's what it's referring to. I hear Frank doing Mustafa Akkad when I hear Boogeyman. Yeah. And Myers fan says, entertaining spook flick with some good effects. Lommel was a terrible filmmaker, though, and that was his one lucky strike, says Andrew. It was under Section 2. Thank you, Rando. Okay. Brandon says, no one killed a kid better than Carpenter with Assault on Precinct 13. I wanted a vanilla twist. Thwack. Yeah. Ballsy moment in that film. Love that moment. Superb. That's the sister of the girl in Halloween, isn't it? Lindsay in Halloween. That's her real sister. Wraith says, James, yeah, that's the one. Saw that scene as a kid and it stuck with me for years trying to find out what that film was. Okay, so let's move over and we're down to the final 3 now, folks. Our next one is Anthropophagus, which I'm a fan. I like this film. I don't mind holding my hand up and saying I think it's actually quite a creepy and effective film. Joe D'Amato, I think, was the director. 1980, this movie came out. Let's see if I can... Nope, my thing's freezing up there. So, Section 1, it was prosecuted. It was available on Vipco initially. George Eastman, who appeared in a lot of these kind of Italian horrors and things over the years, played the cannibal. Tisa Farrow played Julie, and Severo Valone played Andy. Tourists on a remote Mediterranean island run foul of a vicious cannibal, soon revealed to be a fearsome predator with a taste for flesh. The film mixes brutal slasher tropes with exploitation gore. I think it's actually a really quite a tragic story as well. When you get into the backstory of who this guy is and what's happened, it's actually quite sad. But he's entirely terrifying throughout the whole film. And one of the best jump scares in any nasty that I've seen, the scene at the end when the 2 girls are in the attic, is I talked about on the video the other day. You're expecting somebody to come up to get them, and he doesn't. He comes through the roof, crashes through the roof above them and grabs them. And then obviously, you know, spoiler alert, but it's on all the artwork. Let me just pause this 1 second. It's on all the artwork. Is that everybody's put it in last place? Wow. The scene at the end where he does what he does, you can see him doing it in the artwork there. I won't spoil it in case anybody hasn't seen it, but I'm surprised. 3 of you voted it in first place. 3 of you voted it in second, 1 in third, 2 in fourth, 5 in fifth. It's actually not a bad film. Kim Richards, I was trying to think of her name. She's Carl's sister and was a Disney movie regular in the days, which made Carpenter did what Carpenter did even balls. Wasn't she in Little House on the Prairie as well, if I remember? I like the sequel. Absurd better, but this is pretty decent, says Rando. This one takes an eternity to get going, then all over in about 10 minutes. Oh, God, Tony. Why didn't you focus on something positive about it and then say, but, you know, I don't quite like it? You know, bit of a balance there with your comments. Or are you just going to become a parody of yourself? Anthropophagus is a great first date movie. What a horrific bore. Anthro is superb, island setting and atmosphere, but good God, so plodding. Prefer Halloween 2 rip-off Absurd so much more. See, I haven't seen Absurd, and I've heard that it is kind of a bit of a Halloween rip-off. But I kind of liked the setting for this. They're on some Greek island. They don't know why. It's just kind of like everybody's vanished from this island. For me, that would be the cue to just go at that point. But no, they stay, and then, you know, this thing starts creeping around after them. I quite like it. I know what you're saying. It's a slow burn, but I think it's when the good stuff comes, I think it's quite earned. Gina says, I was bored. And Duke says, I can barely remember this, so I didn't vote. Okay, so Anthropophagus is in last place. I find that I find we've got movies like Last House on the Left, like House on the Edge of the Park, and Anthropophagus is last. We got some twisted people in the chat. Okay, here goes. The final one is... Oh, no, it's not the final one. Sorry. The penultimate one is Faces of Death. Garbage, this is. A documentary that people used to talk about all the time. Oh, have you seen it? It's like real. All these people, there's footage of people getting killed and this, that, and the other. And it's just a big old con. I think there are a couple of things in there that might be genuine, like maybe some dodgy autopsy stuff or a couple of bits here and there. But on the whole, it's all staged and just looks absolutely. It looks even worse. I haven't watched. I must admit, I haven't watched it for a few years, but I did when I did the video the other day. I took a look at some clips on YouTube, and it's kind of laughable. I think it was done in I think it was like the late 70s or something like that. Yeah, 1978. It was prosecuted because all those numpties at the, in all those magistrates probably thought it was real back then. Probably thought they were looking at some sort of snuff or something like that. Directed by John Alan Schwartz. Dr. Francis B. Gross is your host for this film. A pseudo documentary style. Let me just get let's just pause this. Vote is over, folks. A pseudo documentary presenting scenes of death, accidents, executions, and autopsies, framed as an educational study of mortality. Banned outright, seized and destroyed. BBFC refused classification for years. Later UK versions were heavily edited, removing real death footage. Still contentious due to realism. Many scenes were staged but believed real. One of the most notorious VHS tapes ever, fueled moral panic and media outrage, spawned multiple sequels, and became an urban legend on playgrounds. Absolute gash. It really is. Escape to which mountain she was. That's right. Yeah. Everyone else said it was boring, but I get Chris. I think when you say everything is crap or boring or rubbish or you didn't like it, maybe balance it up a little bit. Try and find something good in something. Faces of Death is a note for me, says Liana. Faces of Death is just boring cack, says Wraith. The hype and promo campaign for Faces of Death was so much better than this shit-stained film. Not a fan of Faces of Death. Most of it is staged, and even if it was real, I want a story and not just gore. I haven't voted on any Faces of Death. It's cowpat, absolute crap, and a waste of precious £1.50. What was that, the rental fee? Donald Pleasance was in Escape to Witch Mountain 2. Future Carpenter stars in the same Disney movie, says Duke. Fifth tier and well-deserved. Faces of Death is crap. I've always thought Faces of Death was funny, says Rick. Absolute garbage, says Daz, but it's kind of pre-internet example of such garbage comps of real deaths you can find now. Faces of Death was the one I saw too young for sure. I was born in 86. So the entire 90s to me was renting movies like this, which my parents had no idea I were as gnarly as they were. Faces of Death, absolutely hate it, says Mac Chats. Weren't a bunch of sequels of Fate? I think they did. I haven't seen any of them. They did like 4 or 5, I think. I think you can actually get a box set of them, but who would want that? I have no idea. Really surprised Anthropophagus is last tier. Me too. What's going on? I can remember the hype around this, and when you thought it was cool to obtain a copy, it was just terrible. Faces of Death is part of the Mondo genre Cannibal Holocaust was criticizing. I'm the only sod that voted this in first place, says Justin. Tony says, I love Faces of Death. There you go. Way! Nice one, Tony. And Justin said, not at all. I have nostalgia for the hype surrounding it when I was a kid. So Faces of Death finishes first place in, second to last, I guess we can call it, in the 5th tier. So second to last overall. One person voted in first. Thank you, Justin. One person voted it in second, 2 in fourth, and 13 of you voted it in fifth. I still can't get over Anthropophagus. Anyway. Okay, the last film for us to vote on is, and let me just find my notes first before I do this, before I hit. There we go. The last film is Driller Killer. 90 seconds to vote on this 1979 prosecuted movie directed by Abel Ferrara, music by Joe Delia. Abel Ferrara stars in it. Caroline Mars, Baby Day. A struggling artist in New York descends into madness, murdering vagrants with a power drill as financial pressure and mental illness push him over the edge. Seized and prosecuted as obscene, BBFC later allowed release with over 1 minute of cuts, mostly drill to head violence. And then the full uncut version was available in the UK, wasn't available in the UK until the DVD era. One of the most cited films in the UK tabloids, I think mainly because of the artwork, the UK artwork, which was a guy with his skull being drilled, his forehead. One of the most, Ferrara starred, directed, and co-wrote it. Punk band The Roosters appear prominently, often misunderstood as pure exploitation. Now viewed as an early Ferrara character study, it's boring and awful. There are a couple of moments in there where, okay. But on the whole, it's just not a very good movie. And it kind of ends really weirdly as well. Sorry, Zara, I know you're going to be watching it this weekend. And you've just bought it, but yeah, I guess you should see it because it's one of those movies that is completely notorious. Where does it end? It ends second place in 3rd tier. I can't believe you guys thought this was better than Anthropophagus. I think I'll just end the stream right now. Okay, so there we have our final list, folks. I'll go through it in a second. Let me just get your... what the hell is this poster? Yeah, Daz, I couldn't use, I don't know if you were around at the start when I said that I almost got a strike from YouTube for using the original artwork. So I've had to mix up some of the posters and use not the original UK VHS stuff, just because I don't want the channel getting a strike, because you get 2 strikes and they close you down. You got to be really careful. And it was ridiculous because the poster art I put up was a centimeter square, but YouTube homed in on it, sent me an email. They don't tell you what it was. They don't tell you what it is in the email, what the issue is. You've got to guess. So I reposted it, and I got a second email saying if this happens again, you'll get a strike. So I'm, unfortunately, I would have loved to have put all the UK VHS artwork up there, but yeah, couldn't do it. Ferrara is the master of underground movies. I love Bad Lieutenant. Bad Lieutenant was a great movie. Driller Killer is absolutely terrible, only famous due to being banned. Utter shite. Absolutely boring, arty-farty shite. A prime example of how cover could sell a big pile of shite back in the 80s. Vipco must have made a pack it on this absolute bore fest. I'm sure they did. The cover is better than the film, and the title, same as the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I put both films at the bottom. The original Chainsaw Massacre, you feel that way about? Oh, wow. Never saw Driller Killer. Love MS-45, though. I just got MS-45 the other day. MS-45. Yeah, I haven't seen it for a long time, and I just got the new Arrow version of it. Daz says, that crappy band incessantly playing music would drive anyone to go on a murderous rampage. Yeah, that's pretty much the point, isn't it? Did he order that drill from Love Honey in that post? I giggled my ass off asking my brother why it was banned. I didn't get it, so it's seen worse than that when it was banned. MS-45 and Bad Lieutenant are best able for hours. Yeah. Where did I'm sure it's here somewhere. Ah, there it is. There we go. Still not opened yet. I need to, maybe I'll watch it this weekend. Good movie. And one that was one of the, I think it was showcased quite a bit in Terror in the Isles, MS-45. Ferrara has managed to strike it lucky and make one great film, King of New York. And Lee Wilson said, I need Arrow's MS-45. I've yet to see it. Thank you, everyone. I really enjoyed this first stream. I really enjoyed this. First stream, I was able to vote on every entry. Thank you for joining, Rando. I really appreciate it. We're going to do something different next week, which I'll talk about in a second. I love King of New York, says Brandon. King of New York is a banger, Brandon. Didn't Ferrara direct Body Snatchers remake as well? I think he did, didn't he? Yes, I think he did. Didn't he do... He didn't do Body of Evidence, did he? You remember the Madonna thing? Did he do that? I'm trying to remember. Rented Escape to Witch Mountain with my dad, says Rob McGregor. When I was 5, went wandering around the video stores. My dad was at the counter and stopped to stare at Driller Killer UK cover. I was never the same. Yeah, I'd imagine that would be pretty shocking to a 5-year-old. No, I haven't watched Begonia yet. No, possibly this weekend. I'm going to watch No Other Choice this weekend as well. He actually made 2 solid films, says Andrew. Yeah, she kisses the bullet in the Terror in the Isles. Yeah, you see the scene where she shoots the guys in the alleyway as well. Thank you, Andrew. Right, okay, let's just go over it. Let's just see what... So, strangely, and I'm not moaning at this because I love the film, Zombie finished first. The Burning second, Evil Dead third, Tenebrae fourth, The Beyond's in fifth, Cannibal Holocaust sixth, I Spit on Your Grave is seventh, Inferno is eighth, Dead and Buried is ninth, Living Dead at Manchester Morgue is 10th, Possession is 11th, House by the Cemetery is 12th, Bay of Blood is 13th, Last House on the Left at 14th, The Boogeyman in 15th, and then we have 16th Cannibal Apocalypse, 17th Driller Killer, 18th Funhouse, 19th House on the Edge of the Park, 20th Faces of Death, and poor old George Eastman in Anthropophagus in 21st place. That is the Video Nasties ranking, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. That was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. I didn't expect many of you to be here, actually, because I know it's a bit of an acquired taste. And I know that, you know, maybe some of our friends over the Atlantic aren't as familiar with the Video Nasties or the kind of hysteria that went on here as maybe some of us from the UK are. I'm sure they're familiar with the films. But I just thought it'd be nice to kind of talk about the reasons why things happened like they did and what the consequences were. And then just get your thoughts on some of the films. You saw what my thoughts were the other day. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. There's a few more comments here. Am I thinking of Dangerous Game with Madonna? Maybe that was it. Maybe that was it. Zombie winning is right, even though not my favorite here. Yeah, I have no problem with Zombie winning. I actually have... I thought it would be Evil Dead. and I would have put £5 on it, like, or €5 on it, like Phil did. But yeah, no, it ended up being Zombie. Gina says, I've just gotten Sinners, so I'm going to be watching it in the next few days. I'm too tired to watch tonight, but can't wait. Gangsters and vampires. I know I'm going to love it. Yeah, you will. You'll love it. You'll love it. Darren, what do you think about ranking made-for-TV horror movies sometimes in the future? Films like Dark Knight of the Scarecrow, The Woman in Black, Salem's Lot, Ghostwatch would be cool, I think. Yeah, something like that might be cool. Yeah, definitely. I'd consider that. Brandon says Anthropophagus deserves so much better. It did. It was robbed. A bit like The Beyond a couple of months ago. Justin says, I would have got here earlier. Had YouTube notified me you were live. I've got all the bells and whistles on and yet nothing. Damn the man. Sorry about that, Justin. Yeah, I did put a note in the Facebook group as well. But yeah, obviously you didn't see it. Dangerous Game with Madonna, Abel Ferrara. No, it was remember the one with Willem Dafoe that came out after Basic Instinct called Body of Evidence? Who directed that now? I'm trying to remember. It was terrible. It's just like one of these, dodgy 90s erotic thrillers that we would get. Check out the Video Nasties 2-disc sets. I have them both up there. I hear somebody, and it came from somebody in the chat, that they're actually going to put both of them on a Blu-ray soon. So I'll be watching out for that because I only have DVD versions of them. Gina says, don't forget to send the like button some love on your way out. Tony says, great stream, guys. Really helps me vent on here. I know. I fucking know. The ranking of remakes. Yeah, that's an idea we could do. I've been putting off watching Bring Her Back because I've heard it's pretty bleak. Maybe tonight. Oh, go for it, Brandon. Go for it. Tony. Please, well, Brandon won't listen to you anyway. Uli Dell, that was it. Directed Body of Evidence. That was it. So I'm going to drop a video probably maybe tomorrow or Saturday, which will lead into what we're going to do midweek. So next Thursday, I can't do a stream next Thursday, so I'm going to bring it forward to Wednesday. So we'll do the next tier ranking on Wednesday. Got other things coming along as well. We've got a new Room 666 coming along pretty soon. More short videos that I've been putting together, slasher stuff, all that kind of thing. I've started so many little projects at the moment. I'm picking which ones to share with you, finish and share with you, I should say. But yeah, no, definitely you'll hear all about what the next. So if you watch for the next video to drop, there'll be a 10-minute tier ranking video going out probably tomorrow or Saturday, and that will lead into what we're going to do this coming Wednesday, and perhaps we'll have a little vote during the week as well to finalize that. So I don't want to tell you what it is now, because I'm 90% there with the idea. I just need to push myself over the line with it. But yeah, that's that will come in a video form tomorrow or Saturday, and you'll hear all about it. But thanks to everybody who watched the Video Nasties my Video Nasties ranking that I did. It did a lot better than some of the videos that I've done recently, and I was really pleased with that. And it was good kind of like awareness for this tier that we're doing. And thanks to all of you that voted during the week. Really appreciated that too. And again, thank you for joining me this evening. There was a lot of you in here. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. Love talking about this subject. I find it very depressing though. And I find that I can only do it in short bursts. So we did it last year. I've done it this year, and I'll probably leave it for a little while now and go on to something different. Obviously horror related. But yeah, the Nasties can drag you down because there's so much, subject matter that you have to steer through without getting YouTube breathing down your neck and things. So, but yeah, good to see you all, folks. I shall see you over the weekend with another video. Wednesday, 10 o'clock next week for the next live episode. Cheers.